Hello, I'm Al Beatty, and today we're going to review tips number 10, originally published in Fly Tire magazine. We're going to talk about bundling hair in relation to hair wings, and in a couple of different applications. We're also going to throw in another tip, but we're not going to say anything about it right now, just to watch as we go along through the demonstration, and you'll find it. Here I've placed a pre-tied fly in the vise with a common problem. We're going to kind of try to cover up part of it here. Now you can see that at least on the side nearest to the camera and me, that the wing is just about where we want it, right up on top of the hook. But when we look at the other side, the hair has slipped and is covering up part of the body, and it's way down on the side. So that's a problem that happens often to fly tires just starting out tying with hair. Well, we're going to show you a trick on how to keep that hair exactly where you want it first time, every time. Let's stick a hook in the vise, and without too much more waiting, here is the tip that we didn't talk about just a moment ago. This is a product called stretch nylon. And I want you to notice that it's a real fuzzy kind of stuff when I release tension on it, but when I pull on it, it becomes a nice strand of floss. And I'm making a floss body on this Elk Hair Caddis with one little difference. I'm not going to put a hackle on it because I don't want the hackle getting in the way on what I'm trying to show you here. Now first off, I want you to notice that we ended up with a pretty nice body. Nice and smooth, no twist overs in the thread or anything like that. And it will make a nice smooth body every time because it never gets twisted. Now, comes back to the wing, the bundle of hair. Let me tap this hair stacker so that I can remove this elk hair from the stacker. And we're just going to set it in place for length. And typically what most fly tires do that causes them trouble is that they set it in place and then they start to wrap. And I want you to notice how that kind of just, the tension of my thread just pushes that down on the other side of the vise, which we don't want. So we're going to, instead of putting that hair right down on the vise, notice that I'm putting the hair up above the vise. Not much, maybe the width of the gap of the hook. And then I'm going to take a loop around the clump of hair first. See that? I can move it up and down. I'm going to move it down into place on top of the hook shank, and now I'm going to cinch it up tight to place my Elk Hair Caddis wing in place. Now, the wing's on top there. I'll bet you $5 without even looking at the other side. It's on top on that side too. It can't go anywhere but. So what we're going to do now is we're going to finish this off with a half hitch and a whip finish. Whip finish will be 2 turns of, and I could put another one on, but for right now I think that's all we need to do. And we'll trim off the head. And there you've got an Elk Hair Caddis with the body showing through to the fish rather than being covered up by your wing. I had the camera off for a minute while I was getting another vise. This is the streamer hook, or not another vise, but another hook to put in the vise. And I placed the streamer hook in the vise. And again, I'm going to use some of this nylon stretch. So it's a Danville product, also made by or sold by the Uni company, and under Uni I think it's called Uni Stretch or Uni, something like that. Anyway, it's almost the same product. Anyway, we get ours from the Danville Corporation because we get all of our thread from them. But if you get your stuff from Uni, give this stretch floss a try because it makes a really good looking body with almost no work at all, and it never gets twisted. Really is cool. Anyway, I'm going to wrap back almost to the front of my starting place. I'm going to stop right here because that's where I want to build my head. Now this is going to be a streamer with 2 different colors of bucktail. I'm going to start out with some white bucktail. And I'll get ready to tie that wing in place. And you remember how we did the wing on that Elk Hair Caddis. Well, I'm going to do the same thing here. Remember, we want to put it up above the hook, about the width of the hook gap. Take a loop around, and I will slide it down into place. And I'm going to hook my finger. There we go. And tighten that up. Now you have the choice of either trimming this off now or later. We're going to trim it off later and get the next color of hair. And I've already got that in the stacker as well. And normally I would, on the top of a 2-part wing like this, the color I would put would be black. But the black top to this wing with the black background that we're using for the photography would take away from the whole experience for you YouTubers watching in. So now we're going to set this up on top, and if I try to tie it right directly on top of that white without using the loop around method that we saw just a moment ago, it has a very good possibility of blending in with it. But we want it to stay separated, so remember about the width of the hook gap. Take a loop around. Whoops, there, get through there. There we go. And now I'll just slide that down into place and cinch it up tight. And I want you to notice how nice the two are separated. Nicely, the green up here, the white below. Then all I would have to do to finish that fly would be to trim off the waist and wrap a thread head. And I think you all know how to do that.